Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my hand, I'm holding a FOIP which goes into great detail about fancy new furniture for the Office of the Minister of Advanced Education at a cost of more than $10,000 to taxpayers, while this government was inflicting the worst cuts to post-secondary education in decades. I guess when the minister talks about tough times, he's only talking about tough times for students, families, faculty and staff, not for himself. To the Minister of Advanced Education, how do you justify pleading poverty to our colleges and universities when there's clearly no lack of funds to refurbish your office?
Mr. Speaker, we have the honour and pleasure of serving in a building that is now over 100 years old. And as this member knows, furniture in offices gets replaced routinely. I'm sure his constituency offices and others have received a new furniture. The fact is, Mr. Speaker, that we have staff. The furniture was for staff that work in our office. They work long hours, and they need to have furniture that is safe and appropriate, much like any constituency office that many of them have benefited from.
Honourable member.
Mr. Speaker, seriously, probably one of the most troubling emails contained in the FOIP said the Minister of Advanced Education was, quote, having far too much fun, unquote, rearranging all his new furniture. Mr. Speaker, this is at the same time faculty and staff were losing their jobs, students were being told their programs were being cancelled. To the Minister of Advanced Education, are you not concerned in the least that refurbishing your office with luxury furniture at the same time you're threatening to audit universities' expenses may be a bit hypocritical? Come on,
well, I'm glad, Mr. Speaker, that the opposition is keeping the eye on the ball and that they're addressing important Alberta issues. And whoever wrote that obviously has never seen me having fun, because rearranging furniture wouldn't be part of that. But if he finds, Mr. Speaker, that furniture from IKEA is extravagant for government employees, in a building that's 100 years old and furniture has been not ergonomic, not sufficient for staff to work in, let him say so.
Mr. Speaker, the minister here had to have a cabinet restained to match the other piece of furniture. Mr. Speaker, during last year's election, the Premier told post-secondary students that she had walked in their shoes. Next thing you know, she's giving her bitumen sham speech and making the most brutal cutbacks in decades. Completely unnecessary given the fact that this government reported a $722 million surplus in the last fiscal quarterly update to the Premier. Since you say you've walked in the shoes of our students, how do you think they feel now that you have betrayed them?
Mr. Speaker, here's the reason that we're the government and they're where they are.
Exactly.
$6 billion is not a sham, Mr. Speaker. It's the entire education budget for the province of Alberta. It was a serious issue that we had to deal with. Mr. Speaker, it was not the choice that we wanted to make, but we had to make decisions to ensure that we could live within our means and continue to keep systems working, Mr. Speaker. That's exactly what we did. We've had incredible cooperation from post-secondary institutions, and we will consider to take every step we can to ensure that students get excellent access to education, Mr. Speaker.